Okay, we are now going to work on Wordly Wise Lesson 6. And I don't have any dance breaks planned, so sorry. All right, first we're just going to go through the pronunciation. The words are anarchy, apprehend, arraign, assimilate, bizarre, calamity, conspire, dissension, elapse, imminent, interrogate, lionize, meticulous, and shackle. Okay, so the first word is probably going to be your favorite of the series, and that's anarchy. Anarchy means total absence of government, and maybe you already learned about that with in Mrs. Nolan's class. Anarchy is a lack of order, total confusion, and kids tend to really like this word because, oh yeah, down with the man, no government, it's so awesome, no one can tell me what to do. That's anarchy. And so you'll see this symbol for anarchy. Can you see that? Can you see that? It's kind of popular in t-shirts and so forth. Not for people who are 45. Typically it's you guys who really like anarchy. All right, the next word is apprehend, which is kind of unrelated or related to anarchy, depending on how you want to look at it. Apprehend is to seize or arrest. So if you're apprehended by the cops, you are taken into custody. See ya. The other definition is really very different, which is to grasp the meaning of or to understand, which is to comprehend. So apprehend and comprehend are very similar words. The next word is arraign. To bring before a court to face charges is to arraign. Beyond that, it doesn't really have any useful meaning that I know of. Assimilate, to absorb into a population or to blend in. A lot of times when new kids come to Parkview, they want to assimilate. They want to fit in, they want to blend in, they don't want to call a lot of attention to themselves. Not everybody feels that way, but that's a typical philosophy for new kids. So assimilation is you're blending in, you're mixing in, and you're not standing out. You're wearing similar type clothes, behaving in a similar manner, talking in a similar manner to everyone else. You're going to assimilate. To take in, apart, and absorb into the whole. So it can be people can assimilate, or groups can assimilate. So 7th graders can assimilate into the whole junior high. They come down to this quarter and they sort of figure out how you're supposed to behave. You can also assimilate new information and begin to apply it. So you can take in something new and make it your own and own it, and then be able to use it. So that's assimilate. Bizarre is peculiar, weird, bizarre. Most kids know what bizarre means. Kind of nutty. Unlike me. Nothing bizarre going on here. Ever. At all. Right? All right. And then calamity. This basically means a disaster. A calamity is like really, really, honestly, a huge problem. Like an earthquake where buildings collapse and crumble. That's a calamity. Or, a tsunami is a calamity. If you forget your homework, that's not a calamity. If you're in junior high, you might behave as if it is a calamity, but it's not. Just saying. The next word is conspire. To plan together secretly to do something wrong or illegal, to join or act together. So then I guess you could say it's more of a negative connotation if you say two people conspired to commit a crime. Obviously, that's bad. Or you can say that and I think it's actually a conspiracy. It's actually a legal term. Joining with others to carry out unlawful acts as a conspiracy. But then you can also say, it says here, the example they gave, to join or act together. We conspired to throw a birthday party, surprise party for Mr. Novak. We all worked together, so we conspired. So it isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I would say it's most often used as not. A conspiracy is not it's not a good thing. It means people were working together to do something bad. Unless they're throwing a surprise party. Okay, dissension, a difference of opinion, a disagreement. So it's a nice, sort of a sophisticated way to say, I disagree, I dissent. So if you want to sound sophisticated and you want to say it that way, it should make you a little bizarre. You're like, I dissent. I dissent. But it means I disagree. Okie dokie. Next we have elapse. And elapse is always going to have to do with time. The only thing that really elapses or slips by is time. Your clothing doesn't elapse. Your locker doesn't elapse. But time elapses. So you can have how much time elapsed while you were running the mile is probably somewhere between, if you're a normal human being, it's probably somewhere between like 7 and 11 minutes. If you're extraordinarily talented human being, then it might be 5 or 6 minutes. And then but it could be larger spans of time, like 25 years have 25 years have elapsed since I started teaching at Parkview. All right. Imminent. It's about to happen. Soon. Write this word down. Soon. Imminent. You can tell when the sky is gray and the clouds are starting to churn that a storm is imminent. You can tell when it is 9:05 and class ends at 9:06 that the bell ringing is imminent. Next we have interrogate, to ask questions of, especially in a thorough or formal manner. So you will hear of police will have an interrogation. If you like all of those police TV shows, they're going to interrogate the suspect. They're going to interrogate the witnesses. And also, any sentence that you write that's a question is interrogative. It ends with a question mark. So that's an interrogative sentence, interrogate. Lionize. Now here's a word that is in Wordly Wise book. And it's one of those words that you come across, and I'm just, as a teacher, I'm like, really, nobody ever uses that word. Like, hardly ever. In fact, if you ever hear somebody on TV, or you come across in a magazine or a book, the word lionize used, I will give you 2 tickets for it. Because lionize, nobody really uses that word. Now, you may start to use it in your writing, in which case I will only give you 1 ticket because you're trying to use it, which isn't a bad thing, but if you can find it, I just want to prove to you that this is pretty rare. So to lionize is to treat somebody as a celebrity. So if, let's say, your teacher was gone for several weeks because she was on maternity leave and she comes back and you're like, Miss Goudreau! That's not how you normally act when you walk into the room. You sort of lionize her. She's getting some sort of celebrity treatment because she's been gone for a while and now she's back. You lionize them. Or sometimes people will lionize, if let's say you went to another school and you've moved to Parkview, and they'll talk about how phenomenal the other teachers were there. They were the best teachers ever. And you're ordinary Mrs. Katz. You're lionizing them. I'm not to say that other teachers aren't great. I'm sure they are. But if they're like, you're horrible and they're the best teachers ever, that's lionizing. If you kind of think about it, in the way that lions are king of the jungle, and it's sort of making them into some sort of like massive celebrity. Next we have meticulous, extremely careful attention to small details. And some of you were really meticulous on your fairy tale illustrations. So you really paid attention to the hair color and the eyelashes, and you drew little shoes that had shoelaces and flowers that had petals and grass that had blades and all of that. You're very, very meticulous. So it's attention to those tiny things. Shackle. Not something you hear all that often, luckily. It says a ring or band put around the arm or leg to prevent movement. So you are shackled. So it's actually like, I guess you could say, like handcuffs are shackles, and it can be around, kind of, like this. These are shackles, okay? But it isn't always the noun because, well, it could be a symbolic noun too. Like I felt shackled by all the rules at school. I felt sort of bound and held. So anything that prevents free action could be considered shackles. So you can have the actual physical, or it can be more of a what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for, abstract use of the word shackle. To shackle someone is to prevent freedom of action. And then the last one is swelter, which is to suffer from or become overcome by great heat. That's to swelter, or it's sweltering outside would be the adjective form. Adjectival form. If it's sweltering, you're going to be a sweaty mess. That's it. And it's rarely sweltering in Parkview now because we have this wonderful heating and cooling system. But when I started here, we had a heating system. So we're not medieval. But we did not have a cooling system. And so in August and September, and sometimes May and June, the kids would be like, sweaty, and it was just sweltering. So instead of saying like, wow, it's hot in here, you could be super, super cool and say, dude, it's sweltering. And you sound like so supremely sophisticated. And hey, that's what an education's for. Am I right or am I right? All right. See you tomorrow. Be good. And peace out, Mogro.